Hello, I'm Gary C. Johnson. Lawyers are spending millions of dollars asking you to give them a call. What could I say to you that would make you give us a call? How about the fact I invented the concept of judo law? How about the fact that using judo law, my team set the record for the largest verdict in the state of Kentucky? No other law firm has even come close. How's that for a reason to give us the call?
800-337-4002.
Gary C. Johnson is a personal injury attorney practicing in Pikeville, Hazard, and Central Kentucky. You can reach him at 1-800-337-4002. Life is a journey, and everyone deserves all the happiness that this life has to offer. That's why attorney Gary C. Johnson created a weekly radio program almost 20 years ago to look at ways that we can improve our relationships, our health, and most important, our frame of mind. You know, by having the right information, our choices can be easier, and so can our happiness. Welcome to this edition of Simply Life with Gary C. Johnson.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into the little radio program called Simply Life. I'm Keith Casebolt, and the gentleman who came up with this idea and concept, my dear friend, Gary C. Johnson.
Wonderful to be here again this week. And today we're going to talk about how bad we need other people.
Well, let me guess. I know where this came from.
Perfect example was Keith just a few minutes ago.
Yes, because I'm in the studio and was having a technical issue, and our lovely lady, Olivia, came in and fixed it, and I looked at Gary and said, I don't think I could get along without her. And Gary said, you can't get along without her.
So therefore, we have our program today.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit about that in this book of John C. Maxwell's 25 Ways to Win with People. He's got some really good ideas in there. And one of the things he talks about is how bad we need other people. And I'm going to read you what he said about a little bit about that.
Okay.
The day that I realized I could no longer do everything myself was a major step in my development as a person and a leader. I've always had vision, plenty of ideas, and vast amounts of energy. But when the vision gets bigger than you really have two choices: give up on the vision or get help. I chose the latter. No matter how successful you are, no matter how important or accomplished, you do need people. That's why you need to let them know that you cannot win without them. President Woodrow Wilson said, we should not only use all the brains we have, but all that we can borrow. Why stop with just their brains? Enlist people's hands and hearts too. Another president, Lyndon Johnson, was right when he said, there are no problems we cannot solve together, and very few that we can solve by ourselves. Asking others for help is a great way to make them feel like $1 million. People need people.
You know, that is so true. And you have talked so many times on this program about the amazement you have for the 12 people that make up a jury and all that they bring. But you often always talk about your own staff, about how each individual brings something unique to the table, and they're like spokes in a bicycle tire. You need every spoke to make that rim and that tire go around.
You know, the law firm's name is Gary C. Johnson. Gary C. Johnson couldn't do any of that stuff without the people over there.
Without all the people that's there. Every single person in my office is desperately needed for me to be able to represent my clients. And some of them probably more so than me. The team approach.
Yeah.
But you know what I like about what you do is you empower people. You ask them to think. You ask them to bring ideas. I mean, you're asking them to be a part of the solution at all times.
Well,
much like you do on this show to all of our friends.
How many times have I asked my friends out there to think? I'm going to read you about this little section in the book. We're talking about people needing people.
Yeah.
And how we need to feel needed, and that we need to feel appreciated when we do something. Now, let me read you what this is. The cartoonist Charles Schwab often captured the longings of the human heart in his comic strip, Peanuts. He really understood the needs of people. In one of his creations, Lucy asked Charlie Brown to help with her homework. I'll be eternally grateful, she promises. Fair enough. I've never had anyone be eternally grateful before, replies Charlie. Just subtract 4 from 10 to get how many apples the farmer had left. Lucy says, That's it? That's it? I have to be eternally grateful for that? I was robbed. I can't be eternally grateful for this. It was too easy. With a blank look of discouragement, Charlie replies, Well, whatever you think's fair. How about if I just say, Thank you, bro, replies Lucy. As Charlie leaves to go outside, he meets Linus, who asks, Where have you been, Charlie Brown? Helping Lucy with her homework. Well, did she appreciate it? Linus asks. Charlie responds, At a greatly reduced price. Have you ever felt like Charlie Brown? You're not alone. Every human being longs for a life of significance, a longing to be relevant. We all need to know we are needed and that what we offer to others is of value.
Wow. Isn't it so true, Gary, that all of us, everybody listening to this program, you and I together, all of us, we all long for the same thing, don't we? Mm-hmm. To be appreciated, to be needed, to be a part of something.
And I hope all my friends that are listening are taking this to heart, and that you're going to say to those around you that you work with, that you need, Thank you for being in my life. You're going to look at your wife or husband, and you're going to say, thank you for being in my life.
You know, you pointed out, you remember the time you did the program about going into Food City to shop, and you came home and sat down with your wife, Anita, and you started talking about all of the people that it took to get the vegetables to the grocery store. And you went through this long list of thanking the farmer, from the farmer to the people.
The people that harvested it.
Yeah, to the
people that put it in boxes, the people that put it in the trucks, to the truck drivers that hauled it.
To the people that put it on the shelves of the store, to the people that checked you out when you paid for it, to the people who put it into the bags and put it in your car, down to the point to when your wife got the eggs out of the refrigerator and fried them. You had this long list of like a dozen people that it took so you could sit down and have breakfast.
Yeah. It is amazing, isn't it?
It was an eye-opener because that's what you did when you said think. You didn't just go in and buy food. You thought about everybody that was involved in it and showed sincere appreciation for everything that made your life easy.
We are not alone on this rock.
Thank goodness.
I'm going to read you a little more about what he has to say about this needing others. I think this is real interesting, and that's the reason I'm sharing it with my friends.
Sure.
Okay. In this little section, he says, people need to be needed. Have you ever stopped to ask someone for directions? You roll down your car window and ask a passerby, can you tell me how to find Larry's Market? Nearly every time, people stop whatever they're doing and help if they can, even if it means crossing the street or standing in traffic. They may even repeat the directions a couple of times to make sure you get it. Why? Because whenever a person feels that he or she knows something you don't, it gives that person an ego boost. Everyone likes to be an expert, even if it's for a moment. It gives them a great sense of superiority and of accomplishment when they help. That translates into an increased sense of self-worth, and it all stems from the universal need to be needed.
You know, as you were reading that, I was just sitting there thinking, you remember the time I got lost over in Virginia?
Yeah.
And here comes a guy by in a truck, and I've lag him down, and I'm lost. And he said, Keith, I know you are. He said, I watch you and Gary on the television program and listen to the radio program. Where are you trying to get to? And this guy gave me directions and got me out of a place that I didn't even know where I was at. And he did so with a happy demeanor. I mean, he was happy to help.
Well, how many times have I told my friends that they are relevant and important?
Sure.
One of a kind, right? And anytime we get an opportunity for someone to recognize that, we feel good. The dopamine flows.
You know, I think people are really listening to this program. I walked into a convenience store the other morning to get the coffee and the paper, and the young lady that was there at the cash register, standing on her feet, as I paid, she said, "Sir, you have a blessed day." And I stopped and I thought, here's a young lady that had to get up probably at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning to come to work, to have to stand on her feet all day. But not only did she do her job and take the money, but she ended it with, "You have a blessed day." And I said, "Ma'am, I hope you have a blessed day, and you've already made mine a good one." But what a great attitude from someone who's providing a service to you.
I'm going to read a little bit more. Every individual's fate is tied to that of many others. We cannot be like the shipwrecked man who sits at one end of a lifeboat doing nothing, while everyone on the other end bails furiously and says, "Thank God that hole isn't in my end of the boat." We all need people, and if we don't know it, we're in big trouble.
All right. So when you read that, I think about, did you watch the Tom Hanks movie Castaway?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So here's Tom Hanks. He's on this tropical, beautiful island. He's got all the lobster and shrimp that you can eat and all the sunshine, but he was willing to risk death to get off that island to get back to people.
Absolutely.
We don't want to be alone.
And I guess, my friends, because when I picked this book up, this is where I turned to. So in keeping with my thought that things pop into my head for a reason, there are some of you out there, or at least one of you, that is not appreciating the people around you. That you need a reminder that you need them.
See, here comes the great lesson from you. So you're sitting there talking to us about how much we need to be needed. But the lesson that you're telling us is we need to realize that everybody around us has that same feeling.
And it will enhance your life immensely if you truly appreciate the people around you and truly appreciate the contribution that they make to making your life better. And I'm talking everybody around you that does it. Don't take for granted anything. Don't take for granted that the electricity is going to come on. Don't take for granted that the garbage is going to be picked up. Understand that there's human beings that are making that happen that we need desperately to have in our lives. So show honest appreciation when you see any of them. If you're walking by and someone is delivering your mail, stop and thank the person delivering the mail. Ask them their name. Let them know you appreciate the fact they're doing that job. That's what I'm talking. And it's not just, it's giving it forward. Because what would you do if somebody didn't deliver your mail for you? What would you do if somebody didn't pick your garbage up? What would you do if somebody didn't deliver the gasoline that you can go to the pump and pump it into your car? We've been a world of hurt. And we need each other.
But we need
to let people know that.
Gary, we get so carried away that we just kind of walk through this life in a fog. And we don't show, and I'm including myself, that you take these things for granted. And too many times you don't show enough appreciation to the people that are providing all the services or the people that are in your life.
That's right. And I'm going to read you 4 little things that he says. And then I probably won't read any more.
Okay.
First, a person's failures in the past, forget them and focus on his or her potential for the future. Okay?
That's one of the best things that you could read. We hang on to stuff. We want to hold stuff. When you're right, we got to think about the future. Let it go.
Turn it loose, forget it, and think about that person's potential in your life in the future. Next, ask yourself, what is special, unique, and wonderful about the person? And how can I show it to others? And how can I tell them?
There was a little bit of the challenge you did last week.
That's the one that Sandy Ramsey gave us last week.
Yeah, Sandy said, go to the people around you and say, you may not know this, but I greatly admire this quality that you have.
So look for it, my friends, and let people know that you recognize it and you appreciate it. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Next, back up your high opinion of a person with action that reinforces that opinion. Nonverbal action is more credible than verbal. What you're saying may or may not be true, but what your actions are true.
So if you believe it, then prove it.
Then right. Act accordingly.
So if someone has a great quality, let them do the job.
I'm going to give you a little tip, our folks, about your relationships in life and how, especially with your spouse and whatever, do the unexpected. Go one step further than what you were expected to do. And it is amazing how you will enhance your relationship. In other words, if you look around and there's garbage, go get it and take it out, even though you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Or you're not expected to. That's just some little example of what I'm talking about. In other words, if someone's going somewhere and you're not going because you decided that you were too lazy, that you just didn't want to go, the other person expects you to not go, then go.
And when you go, be there.
Be there.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
I hope this lesson is taken home to some of you because it just popped in my head to say it. So that tells me there's at least one person out there that needs to hear this.
Mm-hmm.
In building your relationships don't just happen. They're not some magic that just happens. Relationships are things you work at, and relationships are things you have to build.
Yeah, and I think what you're pointing out to us, too, on this appreciation, you're asking us to be sincere.
Yes.
It's got to be sincere appreciation.
And if it's sincere, you will follow it with actions. And you will always look out for how can I do the unexpected for this person.
You did something the other day, and I'm sure you won't mind if I share it with our friends. You did something that was just, to me, was so amazing. A gentleman who works with us, sometimes in our production, who's been trying to work on his health a little bit, you walked over to him and you said, you have an amazing talent. You're incredibly talented. I love the work that you do with us. I want you to be around another 20 years to continue working with us. We need you. And the gentleman called me that afternoon and said, you know what? I've talked about getting healthier. I've talked about losing weight. But doggone it, now I'm going to do it. And I came back and I said, Gary, what you did was so amazing. And you said, it was the truth. I was sincere. I want this person to be around because they're talented.
We need him.
We need him. But the way you did it, so many people would have walked over and said, hey, you better get a hold of your health. You're going to die, or you need to lose weight, or you need to do this. And it would have been criticism. Instead, you walked over and told the truth. And from the truth and the sincere appreciation you showed, you inspired this gentleman to start taking care of his health better.
And I'm going to read you the last little thing on these 4 I was going to read.
Okay.
Remember, many people go farther than they thought they could go because someone else believed they could and told them so.
Isn't that good?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is really good.
So, folks, it's a wonderful world, and it's full of excitement, all kinds of good things out there. I hope we said something today that may be of some benefit to one or two of you anyhow, because remember, we have a need to be relevant. Everyone does. You do, I do, Keith does.
Mm-hmm.
When someone does something, tell them you appreciate it. And let them know that they are relevant to you.
And Gary, all of this comes back that if you do the things that you're talking about, you will find out your life is going to be happier. It is going to be blessed. You're going to attract friends. You're going to have people who want to be around you. They're not going to run when they see you coming down the aisle.
Get all bitterness out of your life. Forget it. Put it behind you. Please. I don't care how good a reason you have to be bitter. It serves no purpose other than to destroy the rest of what you've got.
You know, I saw over the weekend, I don't know if you saw the news, but the young grandson of the great Elvis Presley had taken his life at 27 years of age. And for some odd reason, that hit me really hard because I started thinking about what you talked to our friends about on this show, about how valued they are, how needed they are, how this dash is short, and how this life is so precious. But here's another example of a young individual who was so tormented because of things that he thought were so important that he ended his life. And I found it so sad because if he could hear the things that you're talking about and the things that you stress, maybe that would have never happened.
All my friends that listen to this program have a reverence for life.
The reverence, right? Oh my goodness. Probably the best thing I think you've ever read on this.
And out of that reverence for life, you're going to have a big, long dash on your tombstone because you enjoyed it to the fullest. You were happy.
Gary and I both promise if you ever come to the cemetery after he and I are gone, our dash is going to be all the way across the tombstone. Here's the beginning date and there's the end, and we will have squeezed out every moment that we could squeeze, kicking and screaming to the end.
And enjoying every second of it.
Absolutely. Who wants to waste it? I mean, it is so precious, that reverence for life. You know, I caught myself this weekend just looking at the hills and the leaves changing colors and the beautiful sky and everything, and I'm like, what a wonderful, wonderful world it is.
Just remember, my friends, life was not designed to be a rose garden, but you can make it into one depending upon your attitude.
There's going to be problems. There's going to be issues.
Absolutely.
Everybody's going to go through them. It's how you look at them, isn't it?
And how you deal with them. And how you understand that most of those big problems that you're facing, 5 years from now, nobody's going to know about it or think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Probably 6 months from now, they're not.
Yeah. I had someone the other day ask me, said, yeah, Gary is really a happy man. I said, he chooses to be. And they said, what do you mean he chooses to be? I said, he made the choice to be happy.
That's right.
He gets up every day, he starts over, and he chooses each and every day how he's going to feel about things.
I was giving a fellow in politics a little lecture this morning, and which I had no right to do, but I did it anyhow, about anger. And I tried to explain to him that no good can ever come of getting mad or having anger. No good ever comes of it. It is always a detriment, and it will make you enemies.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no such thing as a small enemy.
None whatsoever. No, anybody that says, oh, they're just a small enemy. Oh, no, they're not. No.
You never know when that person's going to be in a position to cause you great harm.
How many times have we heard people say in the past, someday I will get even? In other words, these people are writing things down and they're holding on to them and they're waiting for a chance. Why would you have that person as an enemy?
And for those of you that are doing that, I strongly recommend you forget it and give it up.
It makes me think, Gary, about the comedy show that Adam Sandler was in. He was trying to be a better person, so he started calling up high school friends and apologizing to them if he did anything in high school. So he calls this one guy and goes, hey, I was somewhat of a bully and I was mean to you, and I just wanted to call you up and apologize. And the guy goes, oh, okay. And he hangs up the phone. He turns around. There's a list on the wall of people to kill. And Adam Sandler's name was on there, and he marks it off. So, he forgave him. Little did he know he was on that list. So when we call and apologize, little do we know what harm we may have stopped coming our way because we turned the enemy into a friend.
That's right. So, folks, go forth and be happy.
Amen. I like the program.
And give some honest appreciation
to everybody that's in your life. That is the goal for this week. We'll see how we do. You can catch Gary's television show Tuesday nights on WYMT, your CBS affiliate, 7 p.m. A late-night replay is in Central Kentucky on your CBS affiliate, WKYT. If you are an early riser, you can catch us on the Fox affiliate in Central Kentucky at 6:30 a.m. on Monday and 6:30 a.m. on Friday. Should you need to get in touch with Gary, that's GaryCJohnson.com. My friend, great program.
Thank you, my friend.
On behalf of Gary C. Johnson, I'm Keith Casebolt. We really do appreciate you taking this time to tune in. And as always, Gary and I look forward to seeing you again next week, right here at this very same time.
Thanks for listening to Simply Life with attorney Gary C. Johnson. If you'd like to reach the Gary C. Johnson Law Firm, you can call 1-800-337-4002. Until next week, may you be safe, healthy, and happy. And most of all, remember that you're unique and a gift from God. If you'd like to receive a podcast of this week's show or any future show, go to GaryCJohnson.com and sign up today. Thanks for listening to Simply Life.
Hello, I'm Gary C. Johnson. Here in the Bluegrass, we look at a team's record to see if it's a good team. Our team has several multi-million-dollar verdicts, and in 2002, our team set the record for the largest personal injury verdict in the state of Kentucky. It's still the record. No other law firm has even come close to it.
GaryCJohnson.com, 800-337-4002.